On August 21st, 1998, Father Murphy died. Despite what he did with the deaf children, despite the lives he ruined, he was never defrocked. He was buried right here with the full dignity and honors of a holy Roman Catholic priest in good standing.
And I get to travel, which I enjoy very much.
The Vatican's prosecutor, Monsignor Charles Scicluna, says he understands the frustration and anger in the Murphy case.
Should Father Murphy have been allowed to die a priest?
If the case would have been decided today, with the knowledge we have, the judgment may have been different. But we're talking about human judgment here. And so,
was it faulty human judgment by the Cardinal, though?
I wouldn't say faulty, because it is a judgment that took care of reparation, of scandal, in the sense that it expected a public admission of guilt, and it also ensured that Father Murphy be kept in a ministry which did not constitute a risk.
Wasn't that a mistake back then? Is that something that would happen today?
No, I wouldn't call it a mistake. I would call it a different take on a very difficult case.
But Terry Kohut's attorney sees it much differently.
That process is all designed to do one thing, that is to avoid scandal.
What would you say to the Pope if he was sitting across from you?
I would tell him why. I would ask him why. Why did you stop that trial? Why did you give pity to Father Murphy? I mean, what about me? What about the 200 other boys?
Coming up, another case of a pedophile priest with Cardinal Ratzinger's signature. This is Stephen Keesley.
With these younger girls, sometimes I didn't differentiate them from boys enough.
A twice convicted pedophile.
That was a problem.
So you may have touched younger girls in the breast area.
Yeah.
For nearly a decade after his first arrest for abusing children, he remained an ordained Catholic priest.
I mean, he wore tennis shoes. He had on the shirt with the collar and a full beard and kind of scraggly hair, and he just, didn't come across as the old bald-headed priest.
It was the early 1970s, here at St. Joseph's Church and School in the town of Pinole, California, where Keesley, so popular with the kids he was called the Pied Piper, shattered the innocence of many of those children. Children like Kathy Thompson, who says she would shake in fear when Keesley would close in on her.
He liked to kiss on the lips and with his tongue. He liked to put his hand up your skirt, and for some people he tickled. For me, he pinched.
He pleaded no contest in 1978 to molesting boys here at Our Lady of the Rosary near Oakland and was sentenced to 3 years probation. He took a leave of absence from the church, attended counseling, and asked the church permission to leave the priesthood. It seemed to be an open and shut case for defrocking. A priest already convicted of pedophilia in a well-publicized trial wanted to be immediately released from his priestly duties. But the Vatican did not get rid of the molester until 6 years later. The tortured process is documented in a revealing series of letters between Keesley's Bishop John Cummins and the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, or CDF, in Rome. In June 1981, Cummins requests Keesley be defrocked because of his taking sexual liberties with boys ages 11 to 13. November 1981, the CDF requests more information. A week later, Cardinal Ratzinger takes over the CDF. February 1982, Cummins warns Ratzinger of a scandal. March 1982, the CDF responds, nothing to report. September 1982, Cummins writes again. October 1982, the CDF, again nothing to report. Father Thomas Doyle, a former church insider, is now a victim's advocate.
This seemed to be a key, crucial, burning issue for Bishop Cummins at the time. the fact that he continued to send letters over. And that isn't to say how many phone calls did he make.
Throughout the entire process, Keasley remained a priest, but was forbidden to work in a parish, a move that may have protected children, but did not reduce the bishop's zeal to formally remove Keasley from the church. Finally, after 4 years of delay, a response from Ratzinger. His decision? To delay even more. Ratzinger's letter suggested very careful consideration, which necessitates a longer period of time. And while he acknowledged the grave significance of the case, Ratzinger said it was also necessary to consider the good of the universal church.
I'm devastated by him. I can't believe that he would let that go and think, for the better of the church, let's not do this. What about the better of the kids? He's just as guilty as Keasley. Just as guilty.
Keasley would remain a priest for another 1.5 years before Ratzinger would allow him to leave the priesthood. Why did it take so long? The Vatican says Ratzinger's hands were tied because of a blanket order from Pope John Paul II that no priest under 40 could be defrocked. Keasley was 38.
He was not old enough to satisfy the Pope's policy at that time. And so they saw that as more important than the urgency of the situation, which was getting rid of, or at least defrocking, a known serial sexual abuser.
You understand how people, the victims and our viewers, can think, this is just like thinking from people who are just totally out of touch.
No, we're not on Mars. We're not on Mars.
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Yes, I understand, but...
Monsignor Scicluna says Keasley could have been defrocked through a church trial, a process that would have taken years.
There was a system, there was a procedure whereby a person could be reduced to the lay state or laicized, and it was a penal trial. So the procedure was there. It was the choice of the bishop on the local level. Now, bishops, I understand, want the quick way out, and I understand that time is of the essence in these things. Today we have a system whereby these requests are sent to the Holy Father irrespective of the age of the priest requesting. So we have gone forwards, and I'm very grateful for that.
Keasley was laicized, the Vatican's term for defrocking, on February 13th, 1987, the day before his 40th birthday. Today, Keasley is a registered sex offender. His career as a pedophile did not end in the church. He molested a girl in 1995 and is now out of prison after being sentenced to 6 years. I found him in the parking garage of his condominium complex in Northern California, where he lives with his wife. I wanted to ask him about his past.
Sir, how do you feel that the Vatican did not give you the approval to leave the priesthood?
It was all a long time ago, he told me. But it seems like just yesterday for Kathy Thompson.
What would you say to him?
Rotten hell. And why don't you go there now?
Coming up, while Cardinal Ratzinger left abusive priests in the church, you might be surprised at the kind of priest he did target.
The body of Christ. The body of Christ.